Okay, in this activity, you're tasked with doing several things. One of those includes, in Module 3.1, you're asked to do an activity that is pretty typical of a classroom teacher in a secondary science course where you are trying to teach a concept and experience something where the students are going to eventually demonstrate their understanding. Often it's a stepping stone or to additional learning, and so you want to scaffold it in some way. So in this task, the one I want to direct you to is this one here. Choose one expectation of the course you'll be teaching. Create one experience for each achievement category that could be given on any type of assessment. Consider assessments beyond the test. Provide the desired level 4 response for each question and indicate how you'd evaluate a level 1 through 4 response with a small rubric. So, it's 2024. We are tasked with doing so many different things. We really want to have a creative classroom, and the time spent to create examples of what a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, even though it's good, might not be your best use of time when you don't actually have the activity created. So here we are in 2024, and we have this amazing tool, a generative AI that can do many of those examples for us. We want those examples because the students will be able to use those to get a feel for what your expectations might be. So using a generative AI is a great way to at least get the process started. So for those of you who are not familiar with using it, I'll just quickly run through how, if I were a student in this class and I was tasked with this kind of convoluted question, how I might go about doing it. So first, I need to choose one expectation that I'll be teaching. So let me just split my screen here, and let me go to the curriculum guide. So on the curriculum guide, I'm going to jump right into, this is the time of year where you're probably finished the first unit if you're doing grade 12 biology. So you finished biochemistry most likely, or you're very close to, and you're about to go into metabolic processes. I'm going to go to this one here. Investigate. I'm going to do the overall expectation because it would be too much work for you to try to have evaluations or even assessments for each of these specific expectations. That's not really what you want to do. You want to build experiences that have the various specific expectations within it, and then ultimately they are allowing you to evaluate the student's understanding of the overall expectation. So I'm going to choose this one here. Investigate the products of metabolic processes. Okay. So I need to tell the chat, that's the generative AI I'm going to use, exactly what I want to do. So I already copied and created a lot of this already. Not copied, I already created this already in the interest of time. So I'm going to tell it I am going to create a series of questions that match the different assessment levels and the achievement charts as indicated by the Ontario Ministry of Education curriculum documents. So I'm taking this directly from the instructions here. I've been tasked with creating an experience question for each achievement category that could be given on any type of assessment, again, taken directly from the assignment. For each achievement category that could be given on any type of assessment. And of course, we're looking at things beyond just a simple test. Once I've created my questions for each achievement category, then there's more things I must do according to the instructions. And so I'm going to copy those over. I must then provide the desired level 4 response for each question and indicate how it would evaluate a level 1 through 4 with a small rubric. So that's a lot. And as much as this assignment seems like it's a lot, this is what we're doing every day as a classroom teacher, right? And now I need the expectation that I'm going to address. The overall expectation that I will be creating questions to address is C2 from the grade 12 biology curriculum, which states, investigate the products of metabolic processes such as cellular respiration and photosynthesis. Right? So this has all been kind of rewritten slightly from the instructions on the module. All right. Now, I'm going to tell it more specific information because I am not confident that this application is going to find the right curriculum guidelines. So I'm going to insert the correct curriculum so that it can make the proper references. So I'm telling it that I'm going to submit a portion of the curriculum guide that gives the specific information it needs to understand the levels of achievement. I'll also attach the achievement chart and So I'm going to go over here to the curriculum guide again. I'm going to go up to the area that talks about the achievement categories. So I'm going to grab all this information here. I'm going to copy it and copy all this. So that whole section, I'm going to copy that whole section. So I'd highlight it and I'd copy it. And then I'm going to insert it. Right? So it's going to be all part of my prompt here. So now it has access to the curriculum document and the specific expectations, explanation of what the achievement categories are. All right. The other thing I want to make sure it has is the achievement chart. Right. So here's the achievement chart. On these two pages, I'll go to organize my page here. Here's the achievement chart. I want to extract those pages. Right. Extract. So here are the pages. I'm going to save them on my computer so I know where to find it. I've already saved it, so let's do version 2. So saved. So now I have the achievement chart, which I can attach to my prompt. Now the last piece is I actually need to include the assignment, right? So I already have the assignment created that I'm going to use. So I want to make sure that the assignment is actually referenced in the creation of these questions. So let's add that as well. Look at the assignment and with reference to curriculum expectation C2 listed above, which is up here, create the series of questions for each achievement category and for each level. So for knowledge, inquiry, thinking, communication, and application, and for each level, 1, 2, 3, 4, along with a level 4 response. Do not give any feedback or answers until I submit the assignment in the next submission, because chat and many of these generative AIs tend to just respond. They just kind of immediately try to figure out what you want and give answers. But I don't want an answer yet because I have not given it all the information. Now that I have my prompt here, I'm going to copy the whole thing over. And somewhere, I have a chat open. Let's just open one up. Okay, and make a new one. So I'm going to paste it into this chat box here. I'm also going to attach the achievement chart. Okay, give it a moment to upload. Okay, so now everything's in here. And now I'm going to submit that. And it should say, okay, I'm not going to do anything until you give me the assignment. All right, so now I'm going to find the assignment. So I'm just going to grab this. It's a Mito poster. It's a pretty traditional, classic evaluation for metabolism that allows you to bring a lot of the learning all together in a visual representation that then the students would you'd interview the student to find out if they understand what they drew, and they can derive relationships based on all the learning that's happened over the past probably 2.5 weeks, right? So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste that in, right? And now I'm going to submit that. So now I've submitted my prompt, I've submitted my assignment, and so it's going to create. So I'll give it a moment to create. Now, as you look through these, I've already done this. Let me just go over here. It's still going, question for level 1. So when I look at this, achievement category, knowledge and understanding, question for level 1, expected response, rubric, question for level 2, question for level 3, question for level 4. So it's giving me some things here. So this is under knowledge and understanding. What is the basic role of mitochondria and chloroplast in cellular respiration? Yes, at the minimum, I want my students to understand the difference between these two major sites of metabolism within the cell, within a plant cell, I guess, in this case, or two different cells. So the mitochondria are involved in cellular respiration and chloroplasts are involved in photosynthesis. This is an elementary response. I would expect my grade 10s that are doing cells to be able to give me an answer like this. So is this good enough for level 1? Maybe. I really have to evaluate it and determine what it is I want them to demonstrate in order to show that they understand the concepts we've been learning about. Question for level 2, describe the general structure of mitochondria and chloroplasts, including the membranes and spaces within each. So that is a little bit more advanced because I'm going to be looking at the stroma and the thylakoid membrane. I'm going to be looking at the intermembrane space and the outer and inner membrane. So those sorts of things I'd expect them to know. Question for level 3, explain how the structures of mitochondria and chloroplasts relate to their functions in cellular respiration. Okay, so where the cristae invaginate and the importance of surface area for ATP production and how they move downstream and upstream, that's appropriate. And number 4, discuss how the products of cellular respiration and photosynthesis and the mitochondria are interrelated. So I'm doing this in the classroom. Sorry, when I did this in the classroom, that was a question I would expect my students to be able to show me. How did the carbon dioxide leave the cellular respiratory pathway, the electron pathway, and how did it get taken up by plants? How did it get taken up in the various cycles? And how do we go through the anabolic process of creating glucose ultimately from the various carbon dioxide molecules? How is the oxygen broken down how is it reduced at the end of the electron transport chain to create the appropriate molecules, and so on, right? So these are questions that I would ask my students. So when I review what they've created here from level 1 to level 4, they seem pretty good. I'd probably modify it slightly, right? So here's one example of something that was done. I did this a bit earlier as well, and just so I can quickly jump. So here, look at the thinking and inquiry, thinking and investigation. So here it says, it gave me a question, level 3 provincial standard. Investigate and explain the flow of electrons through the electron transport chain in a cellular respiration. So you see this question, when I look at this question, based on my the way I developed this assignment, I actually created a question where they would have to do some thinking. And so when I look at this question that the chat decided to create, I'm not happy with it. So I can't blindly just take this and put this out to my students, because as the professional, the teacher that's responsible for the assessment, this is not meeting my expectation for inquiry, for thinking. Granted, most of my inquiry is going to come in a form of lab-based investigative types of activities. But if I do assess them in an activity like this, I do have some thinking that I might put on there. This is not the question. If you look at the assignment, which you did not get a chance to look at, I had this question down here. It was a calculation question. They really had to understand beta oxidation in essence, and they had to understand where ATP is produced in the various cycles from glycolysis through Krebs cycle through the electron transfer chain and so on. So there's a lot of things going on. And if they're able to address this question, there's a lot of thinking involved here, a lot of inquiry involved here. So my chart, I would expect that question to be a part of it. So this whole thing here, I'd erase it. It's gone. Application, it talks about disease. So I specifically put disease into this assignment because I want to see if they're able to make a relationship between the concepts, the content knowledge, and the disease that might occur if something were to go wrong. If there's a mutation in one of the receptors, if there's a hole in the inner membrane, if the cytochrome oxidase isn't working properly, what does that result in? And so that's definitely an application. So I'm happy with this as a question, right? So you'll notice that this, along with this, that they're different, right? They look different. They're giving me different results. So depending on what I put into the generative AI, I might get different pieces. I might go in and revise. So this is a great tool. I expect that you would use it. I certainly would. It should short circuit a little bit of the initial thinking process, give you some ideas. But this is typically not the end all be all. You're going to have to do more than what you see here. This gives you inspiration, and then dive deeper. This could be a good activity. It could be fine for assessments. It could be okay. But what you're doing here is that you're now have a tool that allows you to be a little bit more explicit in your expectations for the levels. And you can do this in kind of the same amount of time that in the past you would have created just the activity without any examples or exemplars of what a level 1 to level 4 would be, right? So hopefully that gives you some thought on how you might use chat. I invite you to use it. Please use it. Don't Don't try to hide that you're using it. Use it. And if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. I'm not teaching a chat course. I'm not teaching a Copilot course, but it is a tool. And this is one of those things that is really interrupting education now. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.